Hello my friends, welcome back to another painting tutorial. I hope you're all keeping very well out there in Patreon, on Patreon. I hope you're learning lots of new things, lots of new techniques, and enjoying the experience of painting, shall we say, because I just love painting. It's so relaxing, isn't it, painting, when you're just sitting there. The time goes by so quickly, doesn't it? 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours can just disappear, just like that. Which is why I love it sometimes. It's just very good for your mind, very good for stress, very good for making you feel positive about life in general. So I think, keep painting. This week I am going to paint just a fairly simple scene for you. It's more to do with perspective. So if you're finding it difficult to create perspective in your painting, I'm going to paint something. It's a very kind of a rough Irish landscape with some hills coming down on one side, but a nice roadway kind of veering off like an S going off into the distance. So getting wider as it comes towards you and getting thinner and narrower as it goes off into the distance. Something I think you could learn from. It's good to learn these kind of things, I think. It's nice just to paint simple landscapes as well. But I think something with a roadway or a path, just to show you how you can create perspective in a painting, because I know a lot of people struggle with stuff like this. Painting a windy road going off into the distance, that can be quite tricky, and a lot of people I do know, they tend to struggle a bit with that kind of aspect of painting. So I thought I'd try something like that for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's going to be a nice, pleasant, simple scene. Very kind of rugged Irish terrain. This is proper Ireland. If you haven't been here, this is what Ireland is about. And these types of scenes are really only, a half-hour drive from where I live, so I can get an abundance of these types of photographs, no problem. So I thought I would share with you proper Irish landscape painting, okay? I hope you enjoy it, and again, you will learn a few little bits from this. So I keep it simple, all right? I'm using a 12 by 16 canvas today. I have primed this canvas once, just once. I'll tell you what colours I have there in a moment. So let's get set up. Let's have a bit of fun painting this. I hope you enjoy the video. Don't go anywhere, my friends. I'll be right back. Okay, my friends, here we are. This is my canvas and my palette, and there is a reference photograph. You should see it right there. Now, okay, it may look complicated, but I'm going to simplify this for you. Let's put some lovely rich colours in here. A lovely dark path going off into the distance. I think that's going to look absolutely stunning when it's finished. Let me tell you what colours I have anyway. Titanium white, Naples yellow, phaylo blue, magenta, cadmium yellow pale, cadmium red. I have lamp black, burnt umber and burnt sienna. That is what I have. A dry canvas primed once. That's all I have. I'm going to take a pencil and do a very quick sketch of the hills and the footpath or the roadway, okay? Now, the roadway, you can see, let's just pick a point, and let's come over here and pick a point around there. Just remember, when you're doing this, the wider the footpath here, the more perspective it gives, okay? Don't be tempted to make it the same all the way along like this. It just won't look right. So make it nice and wide here, down at the bottom. It's even further actually, isn't it? It goes right over here, doesn't it? This part comes up almost straight and it turns very suddenly, doesn't it? And it goes away like that, up at an angle, and then again it turns very suddenly. Now I don't know if you can see that or not, but look, just try it. This side, it comes over like this. It disappears behind the grass verge here, doesn't it? And then it comes around and it goes like that. So now you can see we have a nice perspective already, don't we? We can come out a bit wider here with the grass and all that kind of thing. So this could be the grass and the wall here disappearing. We have this side done. That looks quite nice. So let's go up like that. I'm not going to be too bothered by all this distant stuff, all right? The bushes and all this kind of stuff. The river or the lake comes along like this. Let's go up and put in the hill. Look, we can put in this kind of disappearing into the distance like that, trees and that kind of stuff. Let's put in the big hill up here. This is very eye-catching. I like this kind of a mountain, and this is typical of Ireland. All these types of mountains, these are what you will find in Ireland. I'm going to come back a small bit, like that. And then we have the distant lovely pinky hill that goes off like that. Now that's really all you need to do. You could put a sketch in for the lights. You see the way we have some bright kind of very bright sunlit parts of the hill here. You could just put a sketch in so you know where they are. And this kind of disappears into darkness then, doesn't it? But my friends, that's really it. That's all I'm going to sketch. You could see it's just a couple of rough kind of lines. The fun is going to be in the painting. So let me roll my sleeves up here now, roll them up. Keep my clothes nice and clean. Have to keep the clothes clean, don't we? I have new tracksuit pants on me. I really want to keep them clean, because if I dirty my new tracksuit pants, my wife won't be happy. Okay, let's take a large brush. I'm taking some thinners, which is turpentine and a little bit of linseed oil, all right? Nothing too particular. Now, I might have to change this because I put this into a fairly dirty bowl by accident, and there's little bits of this and bits of that in the mix. So I'm going to just grab a clean jar for mixing. Now, I have a clean one here. It's clean enough. It will do. It's fine. Let me just top up this with some thinners. Linseed oil and turpentine mixed together. That's your thinners. Okay, dampen a large brush. I'm going to go for the sky, a nice warm grey. Okay, some white, a little touch of magenta, and some lamp black. That gives you a nice warm kind of a grey, a pinkish type of a grey. Would that be the kind of colour that I'm painting on? It's kind of that I'm mixing. It's a pinkish kind of a grey, isn't it? Look, a warm grey. I'm just going to go with that. I want to keep the hue and the tones in this painting quite warm. So that's why I'm going to be adding plenty of magenta into a lot of the mixes. And if you know me by now, you will know I love using magenta, because it's just such a warming colour to use in a landscape. It just adds a beautiful hint of a warm colour. Now, I've just taken some phaylo blue and a touch of black, just make a cool grey, just for a moment, and I'm going to just pop some cool grey up here into the clouds, just to add a couple of clouds, okay? A couple of clouds, just kind of floating along, but they're going to be very soft clouds, all right? It's not going to be a rough sky this time. Although we get a lot of rough skies in Ireland, I'm going to keep this just nice and soft. Look, just like that. After that's done, I'll take a soft blender brush, fairly clean I hope, and I'm just going to soften all of this very gently together. Just leaving some of the lights and darks here and there, look. Just be very loose. Okay? Now that would probably do just fine. I'm happy with that. Let's not go too far with the sky in this. Next I'm going to go for a smaller brush, and we're going to put in this little land we have off in the distance, which is a nice warm pink. I'm going to try magenta into this kind of a grey colour, and a little touch of cadmium red, and a touch of Naples yellow. Let me have a look. That's not bad. Let's start again. Let's go Naples yellow, cadmium red, tiny touches at a time. You see how I'm using tiny touches at a time, and a touch of magenta. The tiniest little amount will do you just fine, because I'm only using this colour probably once for that background back there, okay? So I don't need to go mixing loads and loads of this colour. So there we go, look, nice warm kind of a pink, and you can see it's even quite dry. I'm not paying too much attention to putting loads on. Okay, now that's absolutely fine. That's a nice distant colour now, isn't it? Now if you want to add a little something to that rather than having it just flat, let's take some magenta, touch of blue, and maybe a touch of the black. Just tiny touches, you see what I'm using? Just the edges of the colour. And you could put a tiny hint of a darker shade, scraping it through here and there. Look, just remember, it's so far away you're not going to make out any detail. You won't see details. It's just a hint of little bits of shadow here and there off in the distance. Very, very light hints. So don't be too particular in trying to make this, you know, a really in-depth kind of a mountain. This is really just a very loose impression of a mountain, just with a little bit of gradient going through it. So a little bit of dark down towards the bottom, that's all. And that's fine. That will do me just fine. I'm happy with that. Let's move on and get some of this darker stuff in. Now you could use your big brush for this. I suppose we could try it. Rather than having a small brush in our hands all the time, we could just go for a big brush. I'm going to put in a nice rich green for this. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow, tiny touch of black. Now a little bit of thinners in this because it's a dry canvas. You can oil it slightly if you like. That's up to yourself. I'm going to not oil this only because I want to add plenty of texture into this. Okay, I'm going to go slightly darker and warmer. So let's go with cadmium yellow, burnt sienna, and a hint of black. Now, extra burnt sienna in this, okay? That gives you a nice rich browny kind of a green. You see that? Let's just go cut in front of this hill, like that. Fill that in, right all the way down to our water's edge, okay? And remember, when I'm painting like this, what I tend to do is I'm putting in a medium shade of what I can see on the painting, okay, or on the photograph rather. So I pick a medium shade, so I'm going with this medium kind of a warm, muddy, greeny brown colour first, all right? I then add my darks and my lights to that colour. That's generally how I like to kind of work on landscapes. Because what happens is a lot of beginners especially, they sit down, they look at their picture, their photograph, and all of a sudden you can see 20 different shades of greens and browns and blues, and you get confused. Which colour do I use first? I would always say to someone, go for a medium to dark shade first. All right? You can easily add lights to that. You can add darks to that. But I would generally go with a medium shade first. All right? Now I'm taking some cadmium yellow and some burnt sienna. I'm just going to take plenty of that with a little touch of white. And I'm going to put in this bright section just here. Just to have it in, that's all. As it comes across, I'm going to start adding burnt sienna into it. Scraping it from here, softening it back, okay? See? So that's another little bit of a nice warm tone we have there. And then I'm going to start adding my darks. So what I tend to do is just go right in and get some black and some yellow. And I might even take a touch of phaylo blue. I have a rich green here now. I want to keep it warm, so I'm going with some burnt umber as well. So I'm keeping it a warm browny greeny shade, okay? I'm going to start up here and just start getting a nice silhouette up here, all right? Like that. Just go up the side of the hill. You can scrape it or do whatever you like. You can, you can dab, pretend there's trees there. Look, we could dab like there's bushes and trees going all the way up around there. Just to make it very sort of random. Let's take a touch of burnt sienna into that. And let's add some burnt sienna. So you can kind of begin to see I'm adding darks as I go, and I'm being very loose with my brush strokes. Now I do want to create a type of shadow cast across. You see the way the cloud is probably casting a shadow across some of the hill in the photograph. So let's just go across here with some dark, just very loosely. Look, let's pick up some burnt umber in the mix. Bringing that dark across into the hill. Now you can see I'm mixing colours on the canvas. I like to do that a lot. Some people mix the colour then put it on. I prefer to mix the colour on the canvas. I think it just really adds something to the painting in the end. It makes such a difference when you pick up a colour like burnt sienna, let's say for instance, and you just take it and scratch it on. Look, just scratch on the colour. It makes such a difference. Come over here, add a bit of dark down there. Now I'll take some black and some phaylo blue. I'm going to go really dark just here, above that bright yellowy shade, okay? Now, what I tend to do to simplify something like this is I generally scratch paint down in the direction of the hill. I find that just helps make it simple, and it avoids you having to worry too much about detail. So you see the way I'm just kind of scratching the paint now like this. Let's get some burnt sienna and a touch of cadmium yellow. So even a touch of cadmium red. Look, let's add a bit of colour into this, come on. I just kind of scrape the paint down at this kind of an angle, following the hill. What that does is it gives you a beautiful direction of the hill falling down, but it's also adding detail to the painting at the same time. So you don't really have to worry about putting in lots of small details in the painting. This is doing it for you. Now, I'm going to take some black and a little touch of blue. I'm going to go over here and just put a little dark ridge just across where the water is. You see that? Just wiggle it side to side. Take some burnt umber and black. And we could just suggest a few trees off in the distance. Look, just to rough it up. I don't want just a simple straight line. I'd like to give the impression that there are trees and all sorts of stuff going on over there in the distance. You can see it disappears into the darkness, so it becomes mysterious, doesn't it? It wants you to kind of look close and go right into the details. Now I'm taking phaylo blue with magenta, and again, a little bit of that purple will give a little bit of distance in the hill as well. Just paint on its own, my friends, that's all I'm using now right now, okay? No thinners, because this is very thick. So I'm picking up little dabs of colour with my brush just here and there, and I'm going right in. For example, take a bit of white, some blue and some magenta. Nice thick colour, look. Let's put a little bit of that up there in the hill. That could be the beginning of our kind of nice rocks up there as well. That could be the start of our rocks, couldn't it? Let's just scratch a couple of bits like that down in there. And we'll use a palette knife for the rocks, okay? That will give us some nice impression of some nice rocks off up in the hill up there. Now let's stop for a moment. Let's just stop for a moment, take a break. Because, you know, we're going through this fairly quickly. Let's just compose ourselves and have a look and see what's what. I think what I should do is get a palette knife and put some nice bright colours in. So I just need to get myself some cadmium yellow on my palette. This is where the fun starts. Okay, palette knife time. I love the palette knife. This is where it gets fun. Let's grab this flat palette knife, grab some yellow and a little burnt sienna. give them a quick mix. And let's just put some of that up there. Now look how that just lifts. Isn't it amazing how that just lifts everything on the canvas, isn't it? You're just giving little dabs of colour to show the impression that maybe there's a few different kinds of fields off in the distance over there. Now I guess some cadmium yellow on its own with a little Naples yellow perhaps. Just little bits. And I'll just scratch that down here. Again, you see, just giving little hints of colour. Now there is a couple of those higher up, isn't there? So we could just pop one or two in. Again, just to spread the light slightly. What I don't want to do is just to have one bright spot in the middle. I want to kind of allow it to filter out to other parts of the hill as well. Even though it might not be on the photograph, I would like it to just spread out as if the light is just coming along and catching some parts of the hill. So perhaps I could try some burnt sienna with some Naples yellow. That's quite a nice mix also, isn't it? That always makes a nice colour for a landscape. You could pop some of that there, pop a little bit of it there. And we could even just pop a little touch of that over there. Now, if you're unsure about scraping with your palette knife, one little thing I do from time to time, let me get some Naples yellow and sienna. One thing I do from time to time, if you're unsure about scraping your knife, you could just dab like this, you see. Just dab the edge of the knife and just generally be very random with it. That's another way of just creating a bit of texture on the canvas without worrying too much. I want to go up and put some rocks in. I'm going to start with a dark colour. I want to get some black, and I'm going to take some magenta and some Naples yellow. That should give me a pinkish kind of a grey, a very dark pinkish grey. It may look black to you now at the moment, but it's a very kind of a blacky pinky colour. I'm just going to start popping in suggestion of some of those dark parts of the rocks, maybe some burnt umber. Okay, I'm just, see, scraping a few of them on, just here and there. Come right out to the hill edge. Get plenty of suggestion of darks up there. Once you have those in, it's just a simple case of getting some lights up there. Let's get some Naples yellow and a little magenta. That's a nice kind of a sunlit colour. And let's just pop some of that here and there on some of those rocks. Again, just to suggest some light, some sunlight hitting these rocks off up in the hill. Now do have a bit of fun with this, okay? Don't be afraid of making a little bit of a mess or whatever. Do have some fun with this. Don't be shy. If you don't try it, you're never going to know. That's what I find about painting. If you don't try it, you will never know how it's going to look. So grab a knife or a little brush or whatever and just go for it. Have some fun. How was that, my friends? That's quite a nice selection of colours we have now going on, don't we? I think I might soften this into the background just a little bit, just to leave that almost just disappear, okay? And I might just with this as well scrape them together ever so slightly. All right, there we go. Next, I might just grab a small brush. I'll go back to that small brush and create a few little bushes here and there. Cadmium yellow, black and a little burnt umber. I just want to kind of sit this area down on the side of the road. I just want to sit that down. Off over there. We could get just black on its own as well. Remember, a lot of what's in this painting is based on shadows and highlights, okay? A lot of it is just very strong shadows. I am going to put a few highlights on these trees. Just a couple of small highlights. Let's take some cadmium yellow and some Naples yellow. Maybe a touch of sienna. Again, just keeping the warmth in the colour. And we could just pretend that they're catching some light over there. And we could pretend that some of these are catching the light as well. Dab, 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 very gently. Just one or two. You only need to suggest a few, don't you? And that gives you a little indication of sunlight. That's fine. That will do. That will do me. I'm going to fill in this with nice dark colour. Okay, just look at the photograph, really. It's just a dark colour, isn't it? Let's go for dark green. Let's take some black, cadmium yellow and a touch of blue. A tiny bit of thinner is just to thin that out slightly. And, okay, let's just fill that in. Okay. We have that nice dark colour in. Let's take some burnt sienna and cadmium yellow and dab a little bit of highlight into that here and there. I know it's not on the photograph, but I'll take some burnt umber with some phaylo blue and I'm going to dab. The impression, I just want to make it look very kind of rough and dark, and there's just to show that there's stuff there, but you can't really see what it is. Does that make sense? Do you ever see photographs like that when it's very dark? You know there's something there, but you can't tell really what it's supposed to be. That's what this is on this corner. It's just something dark. We could put a suggestion of a fence or something there later, but it's just something dark. Okay, the water. I'm going to start putting in the water. I think I keep this simple and just go for a nice light mauvey blue colour. It's quite pink, isn't it? There's a lot of pink in that mix. So cadmium red will make that colour much, much softer. So if you want to use cadmium red instead of a pink, that makes a colour very soft. That's still too blue. Let's go more cadmium red and a little touch of Naples yellow. Cadmium red will always make a colour soft. Pop that in. It's basically just a light mauvey colour, okay? Don't worry about getting this too perfect. Come across under your tree line and simply fill in your water. Don't worry about getting it perfect first time. Let me just grab some white. I need to warm that. It's too blue, isn't it? So let's get some white and more cadmium red. Plenty of cadmium red and a bit of white. Don't be shy with cadmium red because it's a very opaque colour. It's not a very rich, vibrant colour, so you can get away with putting plenty of cadmium red in your mix without worrying about being too overpowering. Let's take some white, pop a little bit of white in here and there. I think just adding a bit of white like this, you know, it just, again, it gives it a little bit of a hit of lightness on the water, doesn't it? You see, rather than having just, you know, a plain colour all the way along, I think a little bit of light here and there makes a huge difference. Just pick up little bits of white, look, and just flick it across here and there. That just adds something to it, doesn't it? We are going very well with this, my friends, aren't we? I must say, this is, you see how easy we kind of created all of this now with just a palette knife, being very loose with your brush, you know, scraping the knife. Real rugged kind of a landscape. And it was quite simple, wasn't it? Now I'm taking a dark green again. I'm just going to put this bank in over here. I'm going to come around, get some burnt umber and black in here as well. This is almost black really, isn't it? But I'm going to make it a very dark green first. I'm just going to fill this in first with a dark green. Any dark kind of a muddy colour that you have will do absolutely fine for this. Just follow your pencil lines around. That's all you have to do, my friends. Comes along like that, doesn't it? I need to get more cadmium yellow again on my palette. What I do love about a scene like this is, if you have any photograph with a footpath like this, immediately your eye wants to follow that footpath into the painting. And that's what I love. Immediately, when you have something with a footpath like this, you could even, if you have a normal landscape at home in a photograph and you want to add a footpath, you could. And it will immediately draw your eyes right in to the center of your painting. Anything like this. It really does. So do try it sometime. Now I'm going to get some black and simply scrape some black down as if it's the inside of that wall, okay? I need to get some darker colour here. Any kind of a blacky colour, brown, black, bit of blue, anything you have, pull that down just to indicate the dark side of this wall in here, okay? You can use a pointy brush if you like, it's absolutely fine as well. Let me just fix this painting now, there we go, or this photograph. I'm going to put it on top of the wall. I think a small flat brush is probably the easiest thing to do for this. Let's take Naples yellow, a little cadmium red, a little bit of white. So we end up with a bright pink, then take a touch of blue. Okay. Let's just make kind of a pinky bluey shade. And it's quite dark initially, isn't it? I think that needs to be a lot darker, doesn't it? Okay, let's go for magenta, blue, cadmium red. Let's try that. That's a bit better, look. I'm just going to pop the wall, top of the wall in, using sideway strokes, okay? Just a little brush on edge. Dab, 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 dab. That's all. That's all I'm going to do. Then just let it disappear. Did you see now what I did there, how simple that was? Okay, let's try it again with some black. Here and there, look. Little black line here and there. You can then go in with some real black, pure black, and go in underneath and show the dark side of the wall coming across. Again, it's just a little detail. You don't have to do this, but I think just this little detail will make all the difference later on. So you can just begin to see the shape of the wall. Then we can get a palette knife and add a hint of brightness to all of this. Why not? Come on, let's get some bright highlights across this. Just allow the brush to deposit some paint here and there. You could even go with some bright white here and there. Just dab, 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 okay? That's all it is. Don't be shy. We have a wall. Let's come down and sit this down in the earth. with a knife, go along, scrape it down. The next thing I'm going to do, I think it needs a little bit of work with a fan brush just along here. So I'm going to get my fan brush. I'm going to take some yellow, some cadmium yellow and some burnt sienna. Now, I know it's not bright in the photograph, but I'm going to just add a little touch of lightness here and there to this, just to refine the dark slightly, look. I know it's not the same as the photograph, but it doesn't have to be really, does it? You can do whatever you like in this, it's up to you. It's your painting. Let's do it over here too, look. As if it's kind of a grassy verge or something. See, that wasn't bad though, was it? Look how far we've come already. All we have left to do, my friends, is the footpath, realistically, and we can add little details after that. Let's add the footpath. Let's make a nice, rich, purpley grey, okay? Phaylo blue, magenta, and some white. Now with those two colours, it may seem a bit rich and bright and all of that, okay? But if you add a touch of burnt umber into it, it just sits it down slightly, the colour. Okay? The burnt umber just brings it down ever so slightly. So let's just put this in. Call in underneath that green slightly, come around. And there you go. Now that can also go, you see the way that goes out into the green slightly. Let's go across and into the green slightly. Now I'll just get my bigger brush and finish with the bigger brush. I mean, do you see how, you know, it's the trick I find really is trying to just keep it simple and have a bit of fun. You know, I just kind of went along this very quickly. I didn't pay too much attention to most of this painting. I just kind of grabbed my brushes and went for it. That makes sense. Sometimes I find they make the most beautiful paintings. Those types of paintings where you just don't care too much. You just get your palette knife and your brush and you just have a bit of fun. I think sometimes they turn out to be the most beautiful paintings, because someone standing back looking at these will see that you were very free when you were painting the painting. You know, it all comes across in the painting when it's finished. The brush strokes, the fluidity, you know. Someone can look and they know you had fun painting this and you just made it nice and loose. I'm just putting a bit of blacky colour now just along one side, just for a bit of contrast. You know, people will see that you really enjoyed when you were painting it. It shows if it's just nice and loose. Okay, let's stop now and just gauge where we are. I'm just going to get a small brush, small pointy brush, take some black and brown or just some black on its own even, and I'm just going to refine the edge of the road, okay, just with some black there, just a little touch of it. Same over here, I think, just to set off the road a little bit better, you know, and sit it down. Let's cut in front of it with this green as well that we have here. It's a very dark colour. I'm just popping a bit of dark colour in here just to separate that. That's looking quite nice, my friends, isn't it? I must say, quite nice. I'll get some cadmium yellow and just soften that back into the roadway, just very, very gently. Then we have some marks, don't we? Some yellow marks. Now, before I go any further, I just want to put a little bit of dark just over here, look. Just there, I just want to separate that green slightly from the road. That's all. That's fine. There we go. Dancing around on the canvas. Okay, so we have our road done. We have all these little things in and ready. I may just want to roughen it up back there just slightly, look. Give the impression of, you know, just carrying the wall around, that kind of thing. There may be suggestions of little signs and stuff like that. So there may be a little sign in the darkness over here. Little bit of blue, bit of white. There's little touches of colour and bright colour over in the distance here as well, isn't there? That could be anything at all. But let's just add it just to add a bit of interest to the painting, that's all. So you can see those tiny little dots of white, they catch your eye, don't they? Okay, let's put in the white in the centre. I'm going to go right in, grab some white and a touch of blue. It's actually an off-white, so white with a bit of blue, I think, for the distance. I'm just going to very gently come along like that. And then pick up some white. It's not the same now, I know it's not exactly the same, okay? I know that. But it's okay. It's okay. A couple of yellow marks along the side. These are the hazard kind of warning, so no parking. That's what these mean. I presume it's the same where you are. I'm just going to pop a few of these in. You may kind of have to, you know, fight with this a little bit just to get them, the colour to stay. But you can't fight with it, you know. Argue with your canvas. Don't be shy. No one's looking. Couple around here. Just pop them in. And one or two more. And they disappear, don't they? And you know what, my friends? I think we could probably call this finished, couldn't we? We could. It's pretty much, I think, finished. I don't feel the need to keep going at this constantly. Make it wider as it gets to the bottom, okay? That just gives you, again, that perspective. My friends, I think we're pretty much finished. I'm going to just move them up slightly. I think the water just dips down a little bit too low there, doesn't it? I think it does. I'm just going to bring this up here like this. I think that might make it a little better. And a little bit of dark off over there. I think that's a bit better. And that's it, my friends. We are finished. I'm calling this finished. I could add on little bits and pieces here and there if I really wanted to. I don't think I need to. I might add a bit of a fence. Remember I was saying earlier about a fence just here. I could just add a suggestion of a little fence there. Because in this area of the country there are lots of fences everywhere to keep the sheep out. So they need lots of fence posts up these hills, all along this landscape. There's always fences everywhere. And that's just the way it is, really. You take a bit of yellow just to sit those down, okay? And there we go. My friends, thank you so much for tuning in. If you wanted to kind of just go over this now with anything, if, for example, a blender brush, if I felt like I wanted to just maybe soften a few of those away, you could. You know, there's no one telling you you can't. It's up to you. If you feel like you want to try and soften some of them away, create some more distance, you see? Just like that. That's absolutely fine. I'm pretty happy with that. What I might add actually, and it just popped into my head, and these are the things that will pop in and out of your head as you're painting. A little bit of light on the water. I'm thinking a bit of glitter across the water would be nice, wouldn't it? A shimmer. Wouldn't that make it nice and eye-catching? I think that's better. And there we are. We are done, my friends. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you have enjoyed. Let me just zoom back here slightly. I hope you've enjoyed watching me paint. It's been an absolute joy. I'm pretty happy with that. That would make a nice addition to a little cafe somewhere hanging on the wall, a nice Irish little landscape. I will just tip away with a few tiny minor little details here, but nothing really dramatic, okay? I hope you've enjoyed watching me. Do try it, just, again, the perspective, you know, that footpath going off into the distance. Take your time with the drawing. Get the drawing just right and everything else will follow. Just take your time, but have fun. That's the most important lesson of all. Have fun and enjoy your painting, okay? Thank you, my friends. God bless you all. Thank you so much for your support. I'll be back very soon on YouTube with another painting. I might try something completely different. Let's see. Thank you and take care, my friends. Happy painting.